what really, really deeply connected Marie and I was how we actually met. I mean, our initial meeting was just, hi, how are you doing? The weather is great. Don't you think so? Lovely dress. And then what actually connected us deeper was just not just a mishap with the dress I was wearing. And through that, that led into a conversation where we both shared our experiences of assault. And that really connected us deeply. And since then, it was something that was dear to our hearts to eventually share and speak to women about. And yeah, and here we are. Hold on one second. Here we are today, much later, actually having these conversations, because we realized everybody has a story. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hold on. I got something in my eye that's burning. Everybody has a story, every woman, and we thought we need to, in that light, bring women together, share their stories, and whilst we have a system that's against us, we have quite a substantial fraction of our men that are obviously against us, all the way into the judiciary system, into family system and structures of woven into society, until very recently also the big powerhouses were owned by men, so these stories would not get the necessary publicity today. We're our own publicists, our own voices through these platforms, and we're able to share. More and more women are using their voices, despite the discomfort, the shaming, the ridicule, the disbelief, and all these things.
The crazy making.
Yeah, and the more we come together, the more we amplify our stories. So for me and Marie, this was really something that deeply connected us. And then eventually, after we had time, 1 year ago, 2020, we started to actually record these conversations with women that also were, I know you don't like the word victim, but I believe when you subjugate to assault in that moment, you are a victim. Also, when you try to actually bring justice and go through a very misogynist, sexist legal system, you are a victim of misogyny, of sexism, of shaming, of insensitivity. And here we are today, from victims of scenarios to actually victory, because it's a victory in itself, speaking about it. It's a victory to have gone through systems that are not for you but against you. And I wanted to say that before even introducing myself. I'm Malens. I am a social activist, or somebody that believes in equality and balance in all aspects of life, for first and foremost. I do philanthropic work. I have a natural skincare business. I'm into ethical minerals. I'm into a variety of things where I feel I can bring balance to the scale, counteract injustices on all scales. Women are very dear to my heart. I work with a product that's geared towards womb healing, so interact with a lot of women with their trauma. I built a sanctuary in Egypt, in Africa, to heal trauma with focus on womb trauma. So it's something that's so dear to my heart. I believe world peace starts in the womb because it's our first home. We all come from there. And it's my mission in this lifetime to balance the scale in whichever way or form I can. And I'm half Sierra Leonean, I'm half German.
Nice.
So I'm a global villager, and I'm a woman, first and foremost.
And it was a magical moment when we actually, opened up to each other. I think both of us hadn't quite done that in that manner, so unexpectedly. So that's what made it even more beautiful. And I think that's, it's not just us. It's like, so many women on the planet. So it's amazing when you come together and you share stories, because we it just shows how similar we are, and there's more power in that. So, but please go ahead, Kumo.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is beautiful, ladies. Thank you so much for just being here and just putting your voice out there into the universe. I mean, I don't take it for granted that, this has happened. We've come together and we're talking about what we're about to talk about today, because it's been decades and centuries of patriarchy and, inequality and just injustice against the women folk. And I believe we came back here, to this earth to really just put all of that chaos to an end. And the only way we can do it is, of course, first and foremost, by having these conversations, intellectual conversations, spiritual conversations, and of course, economic, conversations. And that's really where the manifestation of what you were saying, Melons, that it starts in the womb. That world peace starts in the womb, and that's where peace was really ripped off the earth from the womb. So the intellectual, the spiritual, and the economic. So I personally just believe in sharing my story, because I believe my story, and the fact that I'm here to tell my story first and foremost, when so many other women did not live to tell their stories, that in itself is one big victory towards they're in the right direction. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. As you know, I've just set aside about 365 days a whole year to just focus on this gender-based violence. We loosely call it gender-based violence, but it's got so many other deep roots, starting with the big one being patriarchy. And and that's just inspired by my own personal stories. I think for the past decade, since I came into contact with patriarchy in its ugliest form, through sexual harassment, domestic violence, all the things that she was listing earlier. I just injustice, just going through the entire justice system in South Africa is a very dangerous sport. I can tell you, and it's
globally.
It's no different. It's no different anywhere in the world. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine in Atlanta yesterday, and she was in tears. She got so emotional all of a sudden. She was saying that, I'm just so upset about what now is starting to happen again, in that now there's girls that are being staged and put out there to tell these fake, human trafficking stories, and, that are just so watered down, and that takes away the power in the healing when people hear the real stories, like, yours and mine and yours, Marie. So she was so upset, and she was in tears to say
where are these girls set up to tell fake stories? Why would anybody do that? Could you give us a bit of context?
Yeah, look, that's what she was saying, because she was saying that the minute people hear, I mean, she's based in the US. She was talking about the US, and she was saying it's a typically white male thing, where they will just stage these diluted, fake, human trafficking and gender-based violence stories, and just like touch it right there on the top and leave it there as if.
And for what purpose would anybody make this up? What's the benefit to tell a fake trafficking story?
Look, it's watering down. What she was saying is that it waters down the actual story and the true stories that me and you are telling, because then they're telling some diluted version of what really is going on and running and controlling the narrative through the media. So that it's just normal. People can accept it. It's not so bad. It's okay, you know, for your boyfriend to leave you with his friends and create an opportunity for them to take you into sex trafficking, basically. So she was so much in tears. She was so, I mean, I said to her, look, we need to talk about this, because she was saying she's so upset with that, because when people hear the real story, that's when you now get judged. That's where you now get a secondary victimization from society. That's when you are called crazy. Whereas when these ones that are these stories that are making rounds in the media, the diluted versions of the stories are getting so much attention and are receiving so much support, yet it's just smoke screens and mirrors. You know,
I think, however, the mistake as women we should not make is to judge what is real, what is watered down, because to talk about it and just in the process listening to you and whatever, the frequency of all this gets me extremely emotional, right? To talk about experiences. All right, so for us to sit here who have not walked in women's shoes to say this is watered down, this is fake, I personally would not dare to do that, because I know a lot of women have to water it down in order to pour it out of their mouth, because it's that heavy. Some stuff, you even see women starting to crack jokes and they're laughing while they're telling me it's that painful. This one woman, I listened to, she was telling the story, and in between she was giggling and laughing. You would think, oh, this is really not, I understood that was the only way she could bring herself to tell the story, how she was beaten, always borderline to death in front of the other girls as an intimidation tactic. Like, it's heavy duty. It's heavy duty for me as someone that's perceived by the world as a woman exceptionally strong, with my own voice, that is pretty fearless. But that gets me deeply at my core. So I personally can't sit here and judge a woman for whichever version she decides to put out. And in the dialogue with Marie, it really helped me to unravel more and more and more and get the comfort, or not comfort, this will never be comfortable, but to allow for words to flow of things that to me are painful. And maybe somebody would think, hey, it's watered down, because that's as far as I'm ready.
I think that watering down is part of the process. I think that it is definitely a part of the process. I watered my story down. You know, I was the one cracking jokes. I was the one using excuses like, oh, I was in an abusive relationship, right? So I would be like, oh, but I hit him back. So, you know, I reclaimed my power. And then you, if you are not taking yourself out of the context, you're like, you're listening to yourself and you're like, how is what I'm saying normal? Like, how is what I'm saying something that's even coming out of my mouth? And watering down any kind of experiences, and when you remember them, actually, when you take a moment to reflect, they are so much more than what you just said to your friend or what you just, you know what I mean? I think watering down is part of the process to comprehend what really happened to you. Yeah,
that is so.
You don't want to integrate it into your reality. You try not to integrate that into your biography. It just did not fit my biography. And you said it yourself, Kumo, when I said the title, should it be from victim to victory? You said, no, I'm not a victim.
Yes.
But in that moment where you're assaulted, what are you? Aren't you
survivor?
Yeah. In that moment, when you are fighting a legal system, when people are waiting outside of your house in cars to intimidate you, aren't you a victim of harassment again?
Yes.
For speaking up, you know what I mean? So I feel we all water it down because it's just difficult sometimes to integrate a reality that we did not choose. We did not choose. We were just subjugated to toddlers in adult-sized costumes, because obviously they haven't graduated into boyhood nor leave alone manhood. So I'm saying toddlers in giant costumes that threw tantrums at us, and physically, we were subjugated to that. So
yeah,
for me personally, I've watered down the story to this very day.
Wow.
So
what you ladies are saying is so powerful, because it really also makes me realize that there's certain things. Well, my best friend likes saying that every time she hears a new part of my story, she goes back emotionally and she gets thrown aback, because what I do, I compartmentalize it.